Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Thought for Thursday. I am so excited and so happy to be here with you today, whatever time of the day it is that you are watching this. My name is Alethea Tucker, and I'm the host of Leveling Up the Podcast. And Thought for Thursday is a segment of Leveling Up the Podcast that I bring to you on Thursday evenings. It is all of 15 minutes in length. We hit pressure points, we hit things that affect us, whether it's finance, careers, and the theme, of course, is reinvention. My platform is that of a reinvention strategist. And so I do things to help to get to a life, whether that is personally or professionally, one that thrives and moves entirely away from mediocrity. So we have been in a reinvention series and we're doing 12 weeks of it. And I believe that we are at week 8 this week. And we handled the core of reinvention prior to what we're starting tonight. The core being all of the things that you need to focus on in order to make sure that you have your foundation set to reinvent whatever it is that you're doing or whatever it is that you're trying to change in life. So tonight we look at one of those phases of reinvention, one that I frequently deal with, and that is because it involves HR. And most of my background, most of my life, I've been inside some type of HR or doing some type of career counseling. So what we're dealing with is, how is it that you know that it's time for you to change careers? How is it that you know when it is time to do a career reinvention? I know that that is something that so many people tend to ponder, particularly after they get to a certain stage in life. I frequently see women who are in those middle years and they have done all that they can do to help everyone else around them to realize their dreams. And then it finally hits them. I think I really want to look at something else. I think I may want to do something. I think something needs to be different. We're going to have a truth-filled conversation about this tonight in all of 15 minutes. Again, we do 15 minutes on Thought for Thursday where we hit those pain points. And before you leave, I will definitely give you 5 tips that you'll be able to use as tools to apply to whatever the situation, whatever our topic is. And like I said, tonight, we're going to really kind of take a quick, truth-filled look at something that really kind of sits quietly in many of our hearts. And, the subtle knowing that says something about this isn't working anymore. Maybe it's your job. Maybe it's the industry that you're in. Maybe it's not the work itself, but who you've become while doing it. Are you still authentically yourself? Are you still true to you, as I always say? Whatever the cause, your heart, your soul is whispering to you, or maybe even shouting at this point, it's time for a shift. We talked about shift. Actually, I teased with that yesterday, talking about how do you know that it's time for a shift? Well, when you're starting to feel all those things that I just talked about, you definitely need to start giving a shift some thought. So we're going to break down some signs tonight. That's what we're focused on. We're looking at five clear signs that it's time for a career reinvention, that it's time to look at things and determine, am I really serving myself well? Is my career serving myself well? Am I doing what I'm purposed to do? Am I really focused in where I need to focus? So let's talk about this quickly. So what is one sign that it might be time for you to look at a reinvention of some sort? Well, you know that you've outgrown the role, but you're still kind of shrinking to fit in. Think about that for a second. You know that you've outgrown whatever you've done, but you're holding back. It's like you're bursting at the seams because there's more, but you're holding it all within this little confined box that you've put everything in because you don't want to go outside of it. You've learned everything that you can possibly learn. You've mastered all the tasks. You're showing up, but you're not showing out. That's one way to think of it. You're showing up. Yeah, you're there, but you're not really showing all that you are and all that you bring because the space is too small. I've already said we've put it all in a little box, right? So we've really we're trying to shrink ourselves, knowing fully well that we've outgrown where we are. So that's a sign right there that reinvention is calling you when that version of you that's showing up every day isn't fully expressing who you are now. So that's one way to know. What's another way? What's another sign? Well, you dread Monday mornings. You dread Monday mornings every single week. All right. That's a sign that somewhere along the line, you're really not being fulfilled in what it is that you do. You know, every job is going to have tough days. I don't care if you love it for everything that it's worth. You're going to have a tough day every now and then. But when dread becomes a constant companion, okay, it's no longer just a bad day. That's a bad way. That's leading a bad way of life. Okay. It's just a bad fit. Let's face it. It may have fit at one point, but now it's not such a good fit. You weren't created, all right, to spend 40 plus hours, because let's be real, many of us do far more than 40 hours. You weren't created to spend 40 plus hours a week in emotional misery. And I've talked to so many people, particularly in this environment. Some of it you can't control either way. However, there are things that you can control. And so many are just sitting in emotional misery. That's not your assignment, okay? You are not assigned to be emotionally miserable. And if your work is draining your peace, stealing your joy, and numbing your creativity, well, then guess what? It's time to explore what's next. All right. So 2 things. You've outgrown the role. Second thing I just talked about, you dread Mondays, and Mondays are going to keep coming. All right. Third thing, you've been silencing that voice inside that really, really wants more. That almost sounds like what we just talked about with the first one, where we're really kind of putting ourselves in a box and we don't want to expand. And we're literally bursting at the seams. We have been stifling ourselves, stymieing ourselves, really squishing ourselves in many ways. And we really want more. And we're hearing it constantly over and over in our heads. We keep telling ourselves, now's not the time. All those things that I've talked about before as well. I'm too old. It's too late. I should be grateful for what I have. And you should. What if I fail? All the what ifs come in. What if I fail? What if I can't do this? What if I can't move in this direction? How if I'm looked at differently? All of those things. But here's the truth. All right. That voice inside that wants more is not being ungrateful. It's really just kind of being honest. That's a big part of it. And if you keep silencing it, you're going to keep shrinking. You're going to keep shrinking. You're going to stay in that box. You're going to just remain regretting and not wanting to see Mondays. And you're going to be in a perpetual state of not being fulfilled. What you have to know when you think of reinvention, it's not giving up everything that you've already done. And reinvention in no way means that you failed. It means that you're growing. It means that consistently you are learning something new and you're exploring it and you're looking at new things and seeing how they fit where it is that you want to go, what it is that you want to do, how it affects your life right now. Those are the things that you have to focus in on. All right. What's another one? How many have we done? We've done 3. Let's look at number 4. You're playing safe when you're meant to play bold. Now, I always talk about the comfort zone because it's a place that I'm very familiar with. And let's face it, there are days when you have to force yourself to come out of that box, when you have to force yourself to come out of what I like to refer to as that warm, comfy blanket on a cold day when it's snowing outside and you got a mug of hot cocoa. You don't want to leave it. However, it's necessary. I mean, let's even look at that in the full sense. It's necessary to go out and clean that car, right? When it's a snowy day out. So you're going to have to get a little cold. You're going to have to get uncomfortable. But you know, it's important to clean it so that if you need to get out, you can. Same thing with playing it safe and staying in that comfort zone. All right. Maybe you're good at your job. All right. You know what you do in and out. And many of us are there, and many of us stick there because it's a no-brainer, because we know we can do it with our eyes closed. We don't have to concert a whole lot of effort. And guess what? We can bring in a paycheck doing that. But then one day you wake up and you realize that that's not enough. The paycheck is important. Don't get me wrong, particularly nowadays in an environment where so many people are losing their jobs. It is definitely a blessing, a privilege, an honor to be able to work and be able to pull in an income. But how if you can do more? How if you can get more and you're just not doing it because you're fearing reinvention or you're fearing the unknown? You know, your job, it just no longer excites you. Maybe it never did. Maybe it paid the bills, like I was just saying a few minutes ago, or it excited you at one point and now it just doesn't. But now you're asking yourself, what would happen if I actually pursued what I love? What if I started that business, wrote that book, did that nonprofit, started doing something in the community, traveled abroad to make an impact worldwide? You know, how if I changed industries or stepped out of the background finally? How many of us have been in the background and everybody else has been getting credit for all that we do? How if I stepped out of the background and into the spotlight? How would that look? How would that make me feel? Where would I go from there? So reinvention is what happens when you give yourself permission, all right, to stop playing small. Give yourself permission to stop playing small. Stop playing it safe when you're really meant to make some bold moves. So just as a refresher, what have we said so far? Signs that you need to look at reinvention. Number one, you've outgrown the role. You know that you've outgrown it, but you're shrinking yourself to fit it. Something else, you don't like to see Mondays come and they keep on coming. You've silenced that voice inside of you that really wants more, but you're just telling it so many things, many of them negative beliefs about what may happen, could happen, should happen. All right. What's a fifth one? Our fifth and final sign that I have for you tonight, that it's time to look at reinvention. You can't see a future in what you're doing. You can't see a future. You know how when you do your appraisals and they say, what do you want to do, you know, a year from now? When you're doing your vision and your mission for, you know, whatever, for your life, for your career, your goals, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Many folks don't see anything beyond this month, beyond this week. That is a sign that you really need to look at something. The biggest clue is you look ahead and you see nothing. No vision, no desire to grow, no energy to keep going. If you can't, all right, see a future in what you're doing now, then that's your cue to start building one somewhere else. If you can't see one right where you are now, start building one that you can see further out. And guess what? You don't have to know all the answers. A lot of it is you discover as you go along the way. That's where many of us fail as well. We think in order to reinvent, we have to have it all figured out. You don't, but you do need to have a good roadmap so that you know how to get to answers. Even if you get to answers that you don't really want, you still need to have a plan. So that was the fifth one. And I just want to leave you as we approach our 15 minutes here with this thought. Reinvention is really about alignment. It's about recognizing that you have changed and giving yourself, allowing yourself, giving yourself permission, giving yourself grace and courage to change your career too, because you've changed. And if any of these signs feel familiar, I want you to know you're not alone. I talk to people all the time who suffer from all of these, and you're not crazy. Yeah, you have these feelings for a reason. You're growing, you're evolving, and yes, you can choose again. Don't think that age or time or circumstance, any of that has anything to do with it. You have the right to choose again. So tonight, I want you to realize that you can't keep forcing yourself to stay in a place that really you've outgrown, that your spirit has outgrown. All right. So that's it. 5 signs. If you recognize any of them, maybe you should get in touch with me. Maybe you should get in touch with me so that I can help you to pattern out a way in which you can make a difference in your life, a way in which you can find that path to the career change that you want. One in which you can lay out a plan for getting there. A plan for getting there. If so, text MORE to 240-789-4299, the word MORE to 240-789-4299. That's it. Go out, make a difference. Go ahead and reinvent whatever area of your life needs a change, needs building, needs a touch from you that only you can provide, that only your brilliance can make a difference and make a change for not just you, but someone else around you. Go out and have a great one, and I'll see you next week.